Hundreds of people got together tonight at Coral Springs City Hall to honor Vice Mayor Nancy Metayer Bowen. The 38-year-old was found dead in her home after police say her husband shot and killed her.
The murder, you're also charged with one count tampering with or fabricating physical evidence.
Let me tell you something that is going to sit with you for a long time. The morning Nancy Metayer Bowen was supposed to announce she was running for Congress, her colleagues were blowing up her phone trying to figure out where she was. They texted her husband. He texted back 2 words. Texted her, cool, calm, unbothered, like he had no idea where his wife was. Like he hadn't shot her 3 times the night before, wrapped her body in garbage bags, and gone to sleep downstairs. That is where we are starting today. If you are new here, welcome to Crime Files. Hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a case. These stories deserve to be heard, and you being here is what makes that possible. Now let's get into it. Nancy Metayer Bowen was 38 years old, and she was the kind of person that communities spend decades trying to produce. She was sharp, she was warm, she was relentless, and she had built something from the ground up in South Florida that very few people could have pulled off. She was the first black woman and the first Haitian American ever elected to the Coral Springs City Commission. She did that in 2020 in a crowded field as a first-time candidate. For years later, she ran for re-election, and nobody even bothered to run against her. That tells you everything. But before any of that, before the title and the commission seat and the political momentum, Nancy was an environmental scientist. She spent years doing work that most people never think about, making sure that communities hit hardest by climate disasters were not left behind when the cameras stopped rolling. She was on the ground after Hurricanes Irma, Michael, and Dorian, working through the Broward County Soil and Water Conservation District to help people rebuild. She worked briefly in the offices of former Senator Bill Nelson and former President Barack Obama. She was not somebody who fell into public service. She chose it over and over again every single day. By the time 2024 came around, both the Biden campaign and then the Harris campaign had tapped her as their Florida Caribbean vote director. The Florida Democratic Party made her vice chair of Haitian American voter engagement. She was on the board of voter education organizations. She was advising campaigns. She had just taken a role as program manager for Miami-Dade's Climate Ready Tech Hub. She was everywhere, doing everything, and she was just getting started. And she was about to go even bigger. Congresswoman Sheila Cherfus McCormick, who held Florida's 20th congressional district seat, was facing federal charges tied to alleged theft of disaster relief funds. Nancy had been quietly building support to run against her. Representative Jared Moskowitz, her colleague and friend, said she was days away from making it official. He said she would have won. Thursday, April 3rd, 2026, was supposed to be the day Nancy Metayer Bowen told the world she was running for Congress. She never made it to Thursday. Now, let's talk about Stephen. Stephen Bowen was 40 years old, Jamaican-American, and on paper he looked like the kind of man you would want your daughter to bring home. He was a licensed radiology technician at Delray Medical Center. He was the chief operating officer of a faith-based nonprofit called Men of St. Luke, an organization built around the idea of men living life successfully in the eyes of God. He and Nancy shared Caribbean roots, a home in Coral Springs, and a marriage that, to anyone looking from the outside, seemed solid. They posted their anniversary photos. They went to events together. Nancy celebrated their 3rd anniversary with a post that said, 3 years of building, dreaming, and loving each other through everything. But Stephen also posted pictures of himself at shooting ranges. And his Instagram bio, visible to anyone who looked, read exactly this: God, husband, armed. The afternoon of Tuesday, March 31st, 2026, Stephen called his mother. He told her he had a panic attack at work and that he was going to go home and talk to his wife about it. His mother told police later that she had no idea there were any problems in their marriage. None. Not a single sign. She thought her son was just having a rough day. That night, inside the upstairs master bedroom of their home on Northwest 127th Avenue in Coral Springs, Stephen Bowen shot Nancy 3 times with shotgun. And then, because he had thought about this, because this was not a blind explosion of rage, he took a pillow, tied string around it, press it against the barrel to muffle the sound, so the neighbors would not hear, so nobody would come running, so he would have time. After the third shot, he wrapped Nancy's body in blankets and garbage bags and left her in the bed. Then he walked downstairs and went to sleep. Think about that. Really think about it. He slept in that house, with her upstairs. The next morning, Wednesday, April 1st, Nancy did not show up for her city commission meeting. That alone was enough to alarm people, because Nancy Metayer Bowen did not miss meetings. Her colleagues started calling. No answer. A city staffer reached out to Stephen directly, asked if he could have Nancy call them back. He typed back, texted her. And that was it. No concern. No urgency. Nothing. Police went to the house around 10 that morning. No cars. No answer. Nancy's mother, who clearly felt something was wrong deep in her gut, contacted Stephen's parents and asked them to go check on the house. A detective walking perimeter around 12:30 in the afternoon noticed something that stopped him cold. There was damage to the outside of the home consistent with force, and there was damage consistent with projectiles. Something had gone through that wall. Stephen, by this point, had already left. But here's the part of this story that I genuinely cannot get out of my head. He didn't run. He drove to his uncle's house. His uncle's name is Owen Small. And Stephen showed up at his door and told him he had done something to Nancy, that she was not alive. Owen Small pressed him. He kept asking. And eventually Stephen sat there and told his uncle that he had shot his wife 3 times a night before with a shotgun and then gone downstairs to sleep. Owen asked him why. Stephen said he couldn't take it anymore. Owen Small called 911. That call gave police the legal grounds to enter the home without a warrant. A SWAT team forced entry. And upstairs, in that master bedroom, they found Nancy exactly as Stephen had left her. Wrapped, bagged, gone. 3 shotgun shells on the floor. The pillow with the burn marks, still on the bed. While this was all unfolding, Stephen had moved on to his next stop. He drove to an apartment complex in Plantation, about 12 miles away, to meet a fellow Freemason. He handed the man a bag containing the shotgun he had used to kill his wife. Surveillance cameras caught every second of it. License plate readers tracked his truck the whole way. The man took the bag inside and came back out without it. Police recovered the shotgun. And when officers finally closed in on Stephen at that apartment complex at 2:35 in the afternoon, he looked up and said, "Oh shit, they're here for me." He was arrested on the spot, charged with first-degree premeditated murder and tampering with physical evidence. A judge denied bond. He is currently in Broward County Jail with no attorney listed, no release, and no official motive on record beyond what he told his uncle. He couldn't take it anymore. That's it. That's all we've been given. Now here's where I want to slow down and talk to you directly, because this part of the story matters just as much as everything else. Nancy's family had already been broken open before this happened. In December 2025, just a few months earlier, her 26-year-old brother Joshua died by suicide after years of living with schizophrenia. Joshua was a survivor of the February 14th, 2018 Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, one of the deadliest school shootings in American history. He carried that weight for years before it became too much. Nancy had just buried him. She was grieving her brother while simultaneously building toward the biggest moment of her career. And the man who was supposed to be her partner through all of that is the man who killed her. A friend who had known Nancy for nearly a decade said that Thursday was supposed to be a day of excitement, that Nancy had been glowing about the support she was getting from local leaders, elected officials, friends, family. She was going to fight for gun control, for the environment, for reproductive rights, for mental health. She was going to fight for everything her family had been through. And instead, Thursday became the day hundreds of people stood outside Coral Springs City Hall in the dark, holding candles and trying to understand how she was gone. Coral Springs Mayor Scott Brooks said something at the Peace Walk the following Saturday that I think about. He said, "To have her die in the way that she did will never recover." And that brings me to the questions I want to leave you with tonight, because I think they matter. How do you build an entire public life around protecting vulnerable people and still become the most vulnerable person in your own home? How does a man who leads Bible study huddles and discipleship meetings for other men take a shotgun to his wife, and fall asleep in the same house? What does it mean that his own mother, who spoke to him hours before the murder, had absolutely no idea anything was wrong between them? And what was Stephen Bowen so done with that he decided the answer was 3 shots and a pillow used as a silencer? We may never get those answers. What we do know is that a woman who history had already marked as someone worth paying attention to was stolen from her community, from her family, from a future that by every account she had already earned. Nancy Metayer Bowen deserved her Thursday. If this story moved you, please like this video, subscribe to Crime Files, and hit that bell. Every view, every share, every subscriber is how we make sure cases like Nancy's don't get forgotten. We'll see you on the next one.